Wednesday. I had something else planned for this week, but this has been a huge moving week for a lot of my clients. I've had, have had or will have 3 closings this week. And then I have other sellers already getting ready for their move beginning of next month. So along with this, there's been lots of conversations about how to get ready. And what I do is generally focus on contracts because that's the part of the job that is most my job, right? But, you know, one of my clients was like, hey, I'm trying to go ahead and start packing. And they have a lot going on in their lives right now. They really don't have time for this, but they need to move. So she was asking for tips of how to move quicker. Well, I just spent the last 2 days helping move a different client because, you know, things happen sometimes. So I thought it was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and talk about moving and what you should be doing. Sorry, normally the kids leave me alone for this, but it's not happening this week. So most important thing, and this is something that I do perpetually in my home just because I can't stand extra stuff, and that is declutter and purge, and just anything that you don't need or use, get rid of it. I feel like it's kind of therapeutic to do that all the time. I feel like we have way too much stuff all the time. It needs to go. And then I walk into people's houses and it looks like it's an Airbnb and I don't know where their stuff is. I don't know that I'll ever get to that level, but that's what I aspire for. But yeah, especially when you're selling, anything you don't need, get rid of it. If you don't use it frequently, like at this point, we've had our house, we're getting close to a year. So if there's something I haven't touched since we moved here, it's gone. It's gone. If you haven't touched it in a year, you don't need it. Seasonal things may be different, but for the most part, if you haven't touched it in a year, you're not going to use it. If you have like family heirlooms, I advise getting those out and putting them in storage in a safe place before you even start showing your home, just to make sure that everything is still there and in good condition. My next step is, you know, anything that, again, that you can't get rid of, but you don't use frequently, go ahead and put it in storage. That'll help. It'll make it a lot easier when you do move, partially because it'll show your home way better with less stuff in it, and keep it safer. But then also on moving day, you don't have everything. You just move the important stuff that you use all the time. And then those really important things that you don't use all the time, those can come in later when you're not exhausted at 3 a.m. Paper plates and cups. Normally, I'm definitely not the person that uses them every day. You can wash dishes, environment, all that good stuff. But when you're moving, take out paper plates, cups, forks. Best friend, do it. So you can go ahead and pack up your kitchen early because you don't need those things every day. I usually start packing those about a week ahead of time. That way, I'm still cooking most of the time, but it's not something that I have to worry about, the day before closing. Same thing with furniture. If you have a storage unit and you're doing like U-Haul situations, go ahead and start moving some stuff. Definitely better to have movers and just get all the big stuff at once. But if you can't, that's an option. Anything that you won't use in your new house is really important. Maybe you have a ton of land and you're moving to like a townhome. You're not going to need that riding lawnmower. Go ahead and get rid of it. Anything that you can sell, start early. It does not sell quickly. Anything you're going to donate, also start early because we all drive around with those trash bags of goodies in our trunk and it never gets there. So start early. I I go down a list too of least used to most used, and I pack accordingly. At the end of it, really, you want to make sure that you have like a suitcase to live out of for a couple nights, and everything else is packed. And if you start as soon as your house goes under contract, you'll be okay. If you have accumulated a lot of things and you know you're going to be selling, then go ahead and start that before that process. Again, people like to see clean, really kind of naked spaces so they can visualize their stuff in it. If you ever look at a staged house, there's nothing on the counters. They have very minimal wall decor. Everything is just clean. And again, that just makes it easier for that new owner to visualize their stuff in it. But yeah, also, no matter how clean you are, you will have so much trash. People really don't think about this. That's the one piece no one accounts for. So again, if you start packing early, you can start getting through some of that trash early. Go ahead and start throwing it out in your weekly trash so that you don't have to pay a ton for a service. There are really good trash removals. I just used a junk removal this week. Local business, super awesome. Literally, I asked for it at 10:30 in the morning. They were there before 1. They went ahead and took all of it out before they even had my payment. Please pay them first. That's the ideal. But phenomenal. It was like $200 easy. Now, if you have like a whole house full of stuff, like you bought a foreclosure and it's been trashed, that's going to be more. So, take that quote with a grain of sand. But junk removal is also your best friend. My biggest tip, if you can afford it, especially if you're moving from one house to the next, is to account for the night in between and go ahead and book a hotel. I know it sounds annoying. It sounds kind of silly, but if you can afford it, book a hotel and have your movers store your items overnight. So say I'm closing tomorrow. I would today have my movers get all of my stuff out, everything. And I'm having a suitcase with me. I go to hotel overnight. That way the buyers can come and look at the house and make sure everything's good. And then the next day, and I'll do that on my next house. And then the next day, movers bring all my stuff to the new house. I'm rested because I've had a good night's sleep in a bed and I don't have to move it day of closing. And it's great. So if you can do that, definitely do that. If not, we all make things work. I love U-Hauls. Love-hate relationship with U-Hauls. I've always used a U-Haul to move because I'm cheap. But if you don't have to or you don't have time, just make sure you're thinking about all of this and putting things in your mind before they need to happen so that you don't get in a bind. If you guys have moving tips, let me know. I also really like to get more boxes than I think I'm going to need because that tends to happen. It's also really easy to forget scissors, Sharpie, packing tape. Make sure you get it. Buy the bulk packing tape. I also find if you get your boxes at Home Depot, they're cheaper than if you get them at like U-Haul. Sometimes on Marketplace, you can find used boxes. So all of that will really help pack your cleaning supplies last. That way you're going to be, you can clean out your house you're leaving when everything's out. And then you can also go to the new house and clean that before you get in. Because even though you're going to be great and clean that house for the next people, not everyone is. So you want to make sure those are on hand. I think that's all I can think of. If you guys think of any, please put in the comments. I look forward to reading them and responding. I always do that right after instead of during. Thanks for the interaction and for watching. Those of you that have been on this ride with me this week through multiple closings, I really, really, really appreciate your business, your support, working with me. I've had some really awesome co-op agents, and it's been good. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you next week.